Hello everyone, this is Space Cafe Podcast, and I'm Markus. This is going to be one you may like, one from the shelf of highly unlikely projects. Highly unlikely because my guest is kinda unusual, as many of our guests are on this show. So the story goes like this. I'm traveling with a group of exceptionally interesting people from all over the world when someone approaches me and tells me about this woman who manages NASA's biggest innovation tank after leaving a mind-blowing, blossoming career as a chef, cooking for no other than Tom Cruise, Angela Merkel, the royal family, and so on. Admittedly, I was intrigued, as you can imagine, and so I walked over to meet Leka Hattori from Brazil. We knew we were gonna record an episode, but we couldn't record right off the bat as usual, so we scheduled a recording date. But Leka tells me that she would be off for 2 weeks, hiking the legendary Camino to Santiago de Compostela. You know, the one Camino a certain Paulo Coelho made famous 20 years ago in his novel called The Pilgrimage. I was even more intrigued, and so we decided to reconvene upon Leka's return. Ladies and gentlemen, this one may be a masterclass in following one's dream you have been waiting for. Enjoy.
It's quite challenging and having no one to talk with and just talking to yourself. You know, it was a very good experience.
Did you find what you were looking for?
Well, I'm thinking I did. It somehow seems like I got the control back into my life in a way that was something that I wanted to do like 20 something years ago. And I had this excuse, okay, I had a problem in my food, but when it was all completely good, why I didn't go back to that thing that I wanted? And then why I didn't, how did I fit things that I wanted to do into my life? Because, you know, life goes on, things happen, and I have to make money, I have to make this, and I have to go to that. And you always put in behind things that you wanted. And I'm very privileged. I've done a lot of things that I wanted, but few others in behind. And I felt like I had the control of my own life, at least my dreams or what I want, not only from work and all this kind of thing as a person.
Beautiful. I'm wondering how do we have to walk that Camino maybe in a literal or symbolic way in order to get back control over our lives? It's I'm just wondering, because I think we're all part, or many of our listeners are part of that machine that we're all in. We're playing a role, a cogwheel in a huge machine. And the question is, how do we get back control in all of this? But maybe this is a different story.
Yes. I think the Camino is not for everyone. There are people that never heard about it anyway. Yeah, I even have friends that, wow, you done what? But I think the point is we need to listen to ourselves. We need to take a time, just you and yourself. No music, not a podcast, not a TV, or even a text message, nothing. Just the Camino is this. Take a time for yourself, for your thoughts, organize them in somehow. And sometimes you will not like what that makes you uncomfortable because you are surrounded of so many, you know, it's easier. See, we are talking here. We are on WhatsApp. You cannot be alone, but sometimes you need to be with yourself. That's for
Exactly.
me is the camino. And doesn't matter if you
And this
walk or hike.
mm, and this Camino is literally everywhere you are. You don't have to travel to Portugal. I had a very fun experience. I think it was during winter, and I was in touch with the ESA folks for the Hera mission, the Planetary Defense Mission, and one of the directors, the principal investigator, Patrick Michel. I was chatting with him, and I was complaining that I had to wait for my connection train on the train station for such a long time. And I was talking about how to occupy myself and kill time. And he was like, this is the perfect moment for you to just do nothing and just observe people. Do not listen to anything. Do not listen to podcasts. Do not immerse or engage with your smartphone. Just do nothing and watch. And I think that stuck with me for some reason. And I think this is exactly where the Camino experience that you're describing is transferable even to a train station. At least this is how I see it.
Yeah, pretty much what you say. People say we need to be in this moment, in this present moment. And I was a very anxious person before, thinking about this, the future and this and not living this present moment. And that's the thing. Every person needs to find what is better or what is possible, to be honest, because in the end, it's simple. It's really simple to take time for listen to yourself. It's not easy, but it's simple.
Leka, to be super honest, I cannot imagine that you're an anxious person because we have talked quite a bit when you were over here in Vienna, when we were traveling through Austria a couple of weeks ago. You told me about your absolutely mind-blowing life story. And such a life story cannot be the story of an anxious person. Completely impossible. Let's just start from right where we are at right now. Your main occupation is that you're the head of NASA's innovation marathon, right? The biggest NASA innovation marathon NASA can offer. Can you quickly talk about it, what this is all about?
Well, it's called the NASA Space Apps Challenge. It's been happening since 2011. It's going to be 7 years now. It's run by NASA from the Earth Science Division. Mm-hmm. It's an open innovation, open science. Pretty much happens in October in more than 420 cities all over the world. In Brazil, specifically, we have 60 cities, and I represent this event for 5 cities in Brazil. And they release, NASA has partnered with other space agencies like ESA, Ajax, the Canadian one, even the Brazilian one. And they release 24 different challenges, which goes from sustainability or Earth problems to the space and deep space problems that the space agents are working at the moment. And which I found first time when I done it, amazing was we get the open data during the weekend, during the hackathon, the marathon. And the data, not even from NASA, but from ESA, from Ajax, from Canada, and amazing data from satellites and whatever. And then the teams have to solve the challenge that they choose. And then in each city, decide there's like a local judge and decide for 2 or 3 projects. And we submitted that for the world stage, where all the cities had submitted like 3 or 2 projects, and NASA chose 10, only 10. We have we have a team that won in 2019. And what
Fantastic.
NASA does, they invite those people, those teams, to come and visit NASA, but not only like visitor center, things like this. We go and we meet people from NASA, special people from the headquarters, and it was amazing. So it's a way that NASA, of course, spread about the data and all these things, but for the person, it's a very, very interesting way to get it started into this world of space, of data, and working teams, meeting people. It's really cool. It's really nice.
So what is the goal of all of this? Is the goal for NASA to find or to crowdsource problems and find solutions by crowdsourcing them? Or what is the overall impetus? Why would NASA do something like that?
Well, as we do all in one platform, in a website that is from NASA, of course, they have so many. We're talking about last year was 33,000 people that had participated on this. And so imagine how many projects they have.
Wow.
It's like collecting data for sure. They have used some projects. They don't give credit. So far, we don't know if they have gave some credits or anything. But one thing's for sure, they have as well so many data from people. So when you apply for something for NASA or something, of course they can cross information in a way. Not sure if they do this. They really, NASA sometimes they don't really talk about what specifically they doing. But I imagine so they do this because now we have, they have a project. NASA has open science as well. Releasing data, not only for the hackathon, but now there are many things, open science, that NASA is doing. So in my opinion, NASA, and it's very, very clever, make as a branding very popular because they are a government agency. Mm-hmm. So when they do this, in a way, they are giving back to the society. So I think this is a point for them as well. And they can show exactly things that they are doing and releasing data for people doing other things. Because we know startups that use, NASA data for business or for other stuff. So, and I heard it was the first hackathon. So NASA started all this kind of thing back in the 2011.
Leka, give me an example of a typical challenge that NASA would throw out into the world. Just what's your favorite one?
Well, there are many, but for example, the deep space one, they look like they relate, they tell about Mars stuffs, like how can you create. There was one communication between the deep space and Earth. There is other challenge, like relate to space. It was, and this is coming this year as well, because the sun is having so many explosions and radiation that's going to impact, is impacting us. So they gave you data about this. What is the solution for that? The other one challenge that really, really impressed me was they have this NASA has the golden disc all over
Yes.
space,
Mhm.
somewhere in the space. I'm not sure where is it now. And he said, NASA asked, how can you do that again? Which different material, and what are we gonna tell someone that find that thing about
Interesting.
us human? Yeah, that was very, and I have a group that choose that one. And they said to me, listen, we had all this material. You're going to do this bottle like they used to do in the beginning of they start to use us putting the paper inside the bottle, but we're not sure what to write down as a message. So it was about space, but it was a reflection about how would show us as a human being, as a mankind for, whatever is up there or not. So our reflections, reflections of thinking. That's and for the Earth science is fantastic. The data that they had, I could not believe what they had. It's
Wow.
amazing.
Leka, going back to the golden disc, some say that we should absolutely not give away our coordinates as humans where we are in the universe. Because if aliens come across those coordinates, they may be a threat to humanity. So in what team are you? Are you in the team give away coordinates and say hello to the aliens, or stay hidden in the universe?
There's no way they already know about us for sure. And there's no more threat. There's no more threat for us than ourselves, I think, because when we look back, like when we look around and see so many things, it's unbelievable what we do to ourselves. So no one
we
is
are
more
the biggest
dangerous.
threat to ourselves anyways.
We are, Markus. Unfortunately, that's how I think.
Yeah.
And we are not alone in the universe, because this is so huge and we don't know not much at all about it. So I'm sure there are nice people around there, over there as well.
Or nice slime molds or whatever is out there.
So whatever.
Perhaps it's not humans or people. Anyways, so Leka, do you think it's also talent scouting, a talent scouting mission for NASA to find new talent for future missions?
Yes. I think so. Especially because, of course, NASA always had the biggest technical kind of people get into NASA. And of course, they have this already. But now they need different talents.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in Houston last year, it was very interesting because NASA, when they have the visitor center, and they were like, come work for NASA. And in the show, they are saying, we need farms. We need people that know how to plant in different, in very bad conditions, like, or even can do, in the show, like tourist people. And they were saying, come on, check it out. NASA needs you. NASA wants you. And we want farms. And they are like some posts, like with some tools, like the agricultural tools. And they were like, we wanted you and things. And, so NASA had changed. And this is those kind of talents and people about humans, the culture, everything they want to do in moon or whatever. They are looking for different kind of talents now, for sure.
Fantastic.
Not
So
only that.
I like that, but this proactive approach to even source talent from your visitors, that's pretty cool. That's
I
pretty
was
cool.
surprised.
Yeah.
I was surprised about that. And I don't think it's only NASA, to be honest to you, because we have the private companies now. And we do have the other space agencies. So it's and And when the private companies realize this hackathon stuff is a good way to get people involved, put them the branding on it. Every company does hackathons everywhere in the world. There was more time, like before, it was more often, but it's still, especially for the young, because it's a challenge, it's kind of a game, you know. And I think they get really good database from talents, of course.
So who's who's your typical participant in these innovation marathons? Is it students or startups or companies or retired people? Who's your typical participant?
This is kind of thing that made myself, I thought different when I started to do it, and I got very good results. And even NASA asked me to tell the other cities about it. I go for students, university students, and now high school students, because I do a preparation for that. And because though not startups, because the challenges are to solve problem. For you to win, it doesn't matter if it's going to cost or if you're going to sell. It doesn't matter about marketing or profile. And no, it's about, is that solution really address the challenge? Is that real? Did you use the data? Did you have a science or fact relate to it? So when I understood this, I said, listen, startups are not for this, because they are already the mindset of someone that goes into startups.
Yes.
Is how much it's going to cost? How can I scale? MVP, and all this thing. And even the mentors, because we have local mentors to help. It's okay. They have, even NASA has some specialized during the hackathon to, you can address on the chat. And then I thought, okay, I don't want the business mentors, because they are always going to kill the creative or the real innovation. And that's how you see real innovation. They're going to come up with questions. But how going to cost? Oh, this is too much money. Oh, someone already done that.
Exactly.
Blah, blah, blah.
That's killing innovation.
Killing. And I went for the teachers. I asked teachers. So I partner with some university or schools. And I said, I need your teachers. I need your environment teachers. I need your engineering teachers, math, design. I need business. I need as much teachers as I can get. And that, I was even recognized by 2018, because education is part of innovation. And at least in Brazil, you didn't see by that time, and it's still not seen as it's supposed to be, coming together. The academic, university, they done things, the private companies, public sector. No, you have to have all this mixed up. So I pretty much have more teachers than the entrepreneurship. And that's what made a difference. Since my first year doing that, that's what made my difference. And even in Brazil, I got some recognition by starting this into the innovation ecosystem. And I think that's what makes the difference. And I tell other local leads, because NASA asked me to, answer questions for those ones that I started. What kind of advice? I always give this one. Ask your students and teachers to come. Of course, can come startups or entrepreneurship, or it's okay, but let's mix it up, but not focus only on business.
It's interesting. A couple of episodes ago, I had Pablo Tello from CERN on the show. And he beautifully said that the term innovation management is an oxymoron, because he says the more you manage innovation, the less innovation you get.
Exactly.
Leka, you have, as I already pointed at in the beginning, a very unusual history, because now you're leading NASA's innovation marathon, but at the same time, you have no background in the space industry. You have no background with NASA. You have no background whatsoever. You come from a completely different world, and that world could not be more different. Tell us about that.
Well, first, I think it's all coming to that thing. Do what you like, or at least look for it. Because space was something that I always liked since I was a kid. But it was so far away, NASA and all these things. And of course, I'm from 1974, and then the space stopped for, few quite a decade. And then it's just gone. You just choose and you go when you go. So when I had a chance to be in this marathon, when the challenges are released, 24, I study them myself because I like it. And I put in myself energy to read. That's one point. People are not reading anymore. I do read. I listen to, podcasts or stuff. And I don't absorb too much the technical parts of it, because it's not, my mind is not technical at all. But I could learn, and it's been like 6 years. This is my seventh. So 6 years I've been doing this, reading. And plus, after that, I keep doing. I read every single day, not only the newsletter from the when I met the your show, and I take time to learn every single day. So I think learning space is something, and put my experience from business or other stuff, is that what makes the difference. And that's what I do, especially when I have the chance to talk to the young. I said, listen, now it's different. Now you have this. You can participate in a marathon of NASA. You can go to NASA, and we had like 10 Brazilians there. And last year was 15. So you can go, and then you have to, keep studying your English, and you're young, and you can really, really have a career on this easier than it was in the past. So that's how I.
Leka, tell me about your past life. Your past life, you have an origin, or you have a moment in your past life where you became sort of famous in a completely different world, and that is being a chef. It couldn't be further away from what you're doing right now. Tell us about that time, what you were doing back then.
Yeah, and it was quite hard for the ecosystem to see me, because I used to say I was a pilot of a Stoven or put things on fire. And then I went to check it out about rockets. And the thing is, I became a chef in London when I had a chance to live there. It was 2002, and I done 3 years of college in London, in Westminster Kingsway College, and I had worked for a very good company in London. And I just decided to stop that, and I went and got my own restaurant in Brazil. Didn't work well, because there are different things between being a chef and being an entrepreneurship, having a restaurant. But then I was hired for a very famous restaurant in Brazil. in Bahia, Salvador. So I was there, and I had ended my career doing the catering for the World Cup of FIFA in 2014.
You're kidding me.
Yes, and we had to serve. We even served that time. We served the Angela Merkel. She
Yeah.
was there for the.
You're
She was
kidding me.
there when we lost for Germany for 7. I had cooked for the whole delegation of France, Holland. It was a very good way to end the career of a chef. And also, when I was in London, I had a contract with a company that paid my college. And I used to do a freelance for this buffet, this catering in London, the highest one, and that they had the license to do the museums, the royal family. So I done so many catering for so many famous people, like David Beckham, Tom Cruise, the royal family. Those kind
No.
of catering that you do dinners, like those charity dinners. I done Nobel Prize in London. Yes, it was very, very good. Very good experience.
So
Very good experience.
this is almost unbelievable. So you were with a company, you have a business degree, and then you're starting to venture into the catering, the chef business, and you're working yourself like in the shortest possible time up to the top level of catering, where you're serving like royal families and whatnot. So where did you get your skills from? Do you feel like this is a skill you were born with, or was it where did you pick all that up?
Well, I thought about that. It's just because I enjoy the time. I really had good time. It was really hard work. And I really like it. I like the kitchen. I like the cooking. I like the fire, the pressure. Uh, Sometimes people don't believe it. Said, listen, how can you not come back to cooking? I said, maybe a cooking space. I'm going to that. I'm going to study that from next year. I decided, I'll say, I want to cook for astronauts. But that's the thing. You just need to do what you really enjoy, not only for money. Of course, that is important. Of course, we all have to pay bills, but try to have a balance. And one thing that I really like in England or outside of Brazil, to be honest to you, in countries like United States or even all those here in Europe, is if you work hard, if you're honest, if you do properly, responsible, you have the chance to move in now. So I started as a waitress because I was in a corporate, but when I went to London, I said I don't want to do anything about numbers. I just want to pay the bills here in London, and I went to waitress, and then I could enjoy London life, blah blah blah. So, and that's as well. I started as waitress, and then when I was waitress, I I won a challenge from Louis Roedery Champagne. I went to Reims to have dinner with in the maison of Louis Roedery and try Crystal 1983. So those kind of things. Put your best in what you're doing. Doesn't matter if you're waitress or if you are cooking. I started as a sandwich maker, having to cut tomatoes and washing lettuce. That's it. But I put in myself. I'm going to do the best what I can, what I'm doing. So I think that's the difference. That makes you growing up in the career and achieve more and more. And that's what I do. It doesn't matter if I have to start it from from zero. If I have to start to learn what is rocket or is that, let's do our best. Oh yeah, I think.
Tell me, Leka, how did that move from being a waitress to becoming a world-class chef? How did that go? How did that transition work?
Wow, especially in London, because, okay, as a waitress, it was fun. Of course, it was in a city of London. I just worked Monday to Friday. I was lucky on that. Very good chips because it was just the wine bars. And this one was just close to the stock exchange. But then when I became a chef first, I had to study because the company put me into this college, Westminster Kingsway College. And I had to go to the kitchen, prepare things, and then I leave to my class going until night. And I was doing that very well. And when I moved like from even sandwich maker, I think it's still per hour, the salary. And then next step, I was like per year, which is big difference. And then being a chef, and because I went through all the steps, it's pretty much made me even different to the bank, to the English people, it's kind of not only moving on the amount I was earning, but as well, like getting more respect from the public, from the person, from the community was very, very, it was really, really nice. To be honest to you, I got an invitation from my teacher by that time because he used to work for the royal family. He said, you should try because you only work for the royal family in the kitchen or the other things as you had invitation. And I got this invitation, but I said, no, I don't want to do that. I want to go back to Brazil and have my own restaurant. Yeah.
This is
sometimes I regret that. Sometimes I regret that, but it was fun. And so I had a chance I travel a little bit in Europe to try some food as well, because I still love that. Trying food and see the efforts people are doing to get fresh food and transforming it to even in classic dishes or different dish.
Do you still get to go back to those days and cook fancy dinners for whenever you feel like doing so?
Sometimes for family and friends, but not. I done. There is one thing that I done back in Brazil, and I may do that. I hope so in Portugal for the Web Summit in Lisbon. I want to do that in Vienna next year if I had a chance, because there's a dish called feijoada in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
And mine is really good and blah, blah, blah. So I done that in Rio just before the opening of the Web Summit in Rio. And I done in a restaurant, tourist restaurant in Islam, in a Rocinha, which is the biggest slum in Rio. I never been there before. I mean, I've been doing a few things for social projects there. And I done this feijoada, call it feijoada da Leka. Leka's a feijoada, which is the name of the plate. And we done like this. Yes, we done as a meetup of innovation because it's traditional plate to eat for lunch. It's the black beans with pork and meat. And we invite social projects from the Islam, from the Rocinha, to pitch, 3 minutes pitch. And I invite people from the ecosystem from Brazil. And we got like 50 very quite important people. And they were up in the slam watching those 7 pitches. Then they were like meet up and talk because not all those projects couldn't go down to the Web Summit. It's expensive. So we done that and it was amazing. And one of the project that was pitching got an invitation from one entrepreneur that was there and was able to make to the Web Summit and, spoke with investors and things. So it was really cool. It was really nice. And
Fantastic.
I'm planning and making somehow me do that in Portugal. Hopefully. And that's the thing. It's not that's the thing I want to look for now to do it. This kind of using my skills of cooking, because it's about in a table or in a kitchen that people, since the beginning of our time, people really talk and get around. So this feijoada was kind of thing that I wanted to do. And it was organic doing, like calling a friend in Rio, said, I'm there, let's do it. And maybe I will do that as well more often. And in place like that, they can even try a Brazilian dish and promote this meetup between projects that has more social background.
I'd like to go back to what you mentioned a couple of minutes ago to perhaps do some cooking or invent some dishes for space. I think this is an under-researched and underserved discipline, food in space. I could imagine, I don't know, have you ever tried space food? I haven't, but it seems space food could use a little bit of an improvement. Would this be a nice challenge for you?
Wow. I think will be my next challenge. First, there is one building in Houston, which they make it very kind of secret. That is about the food. There's a building about food. There is a challenge that NASA is starting about food or they call like breakfast for astronaut. And I spoke with two. I had a chance to speak with two. One was not in eating. And they said that's the biggest problem about being in space, about being an astronaut. That food. Yes. And the thing is, one thing I think is about not only the taste or the flavor, because maybe 3D printing can solve
that problem. Yeah.
Maybe. I try, it's still far away. But I think it's the texture. So somehow, and I think it's already on the topic of NASA, but it's going to come up very, very huge. After, all those problems are solving, and they're going to put energy on that. For now, as what I found out, it's kind of secret so far. But I want to do that. Imagine, it would be so good. Oh my God. Eating my own food in space. Let's do it, Markus. Let's go.
I'm down to it. I do the dishes, okay? You cook, I do the dishes.
Okay, done.
I need to start, I need to work my way up. So I'll start cutting tomatoes and sandwiches, and you do the fancy.
Imagine doing that in gravity zero.
Fantastic. Leka, tell me about let's go back into that mindset when you decided to move on to a different career. What happened? Did you get bored with all that success?
First, it's a profession that you hold too many pressure because time. And second, it's very physical. It makes you really, really tired. And I just decided I done in enough. I had done some, I went to the opposite side. I done then after the fancy gourmet, high profile food, I done street food. I done catering a carnival of Salvador, few really street food. And that was even more tired and less money. And then there was some point I said, okay, enough of this. Let me see what's going on in the world. And that's how I stopped for a while. And that's how and I started to see words, startup, hackathon, and I said, "Whoa, what is this?" And then I stopped. My brother-in-law is a tech dev and computer stuff. He gave me some advice, some guidelines, and I started to study. I was a director of Startup Accelerator in 2018 as well. I applied from Adele Ressi. He was a partner of Elon Musk on PayPal. And the Founder Institute is the oldest startup accelerator from the Silicon Valley and from the world, even before Techstars and everything. So I had an interview with Adele Ressi, and I was like, whoa. And so I done that. I done a training with them, with Founder Institute from Silicon Valley for 3 months. And we host with two other directors. We host a co-work in Salvador, Bahia, and we made it like 9 startups. Not often, just one is doing good so far, but it's been difficult for startups.
Leka, talking about oneself is always difficult, but what is your secret sauce? And let's try to be as realistic and as honest as you can be. What is your secret sauce behind all of this?
Oh, my secret sauce. Aye.
I mean, like, this is all very unlikely what you do. Or I wouldn't say unlikely, maybe, or perhaps it's more unusual to transition. It's like in winter, in skiing, there is a discipline called slalom, and where you like ski very quickly between different gates. And so, I mean, like, I'd be really, really interested in finding out your secret sauce behind that slalom skill that you're pulling off on a regular basis, and who knows where that Camino that you were on a couple of weeks or days ago will lead you as a next project. So, what is the secret sauce of Leka Hattori?
Well, Markus, that's a challenge question, but what I can think now is I try to be more honest to myself as I can. And I do understand that nothing is forever. In some point, in somehow, that will transform or ending. And as I try to do my best, I always happy what the achievements or what I done. And if sometime, one thing that I'm not afraid is about challenge. It's about change, right? If you say to me now, listen, there is an opportunity at the moon and this and that and that, I may think it about it because it's something that I want is to go to the moon, is to go to space. And so I put it on the plate. So why not? Why yes? And I try to balance this, but I try to be honest to myself always. All these transitions I made it was not pretty much because I was unhappy, but it was because I wanted to try the next step. I wanted to try what something catch my attention in somehow. I think is this. I'm not sure if I answer a question, but in somehow
Absolutely.
that's how I feel.
Mhm. What does being honest to oneself mean? What do you mean?
Well, it means like I try not to do things only because of the money. Not because, okay, everybody wants to be rich, I think, but it's not all about this. Of course, I come from a stable family, so I had good education, but from 17 years old, I have to take care of myself. So I balance this. Okay, I could still being a chef in London, earn it so much in pounds, which is a very strong currency. And I had so many investments by that time back in Brazil because the exchange rate was good. But is that the only thing I want in this kind of position? To have some more money to invest? Or no, it's time for me to have my own restaurant and get myself into that risk. And, and on the yes, okay, go for it was more one. So I was more, okay, this is what I want. So I'm going to do that because the money in a way can come really down, but there is always a way to come back to a point that you need. And there is no point only to invest and invest and invest. You have to have a good life. You have to have, thinking about the future, but it's not only about, and I'm not kind of person that, I want to buy a helicopter. I want to buy this. I want to buy what we need. We need to buy. Okay, I need money now. I want to go to space. So let's work for this. But there are only other ways too for it. So anyway, I think that's it, Marks. That's what drove me. My life was not only to be about money. Try to get the balance of that.
What do you make of what's going on in space these days? What does that mean to you as a human being? The space industry, space exploration, it's definitely, you mentioned in the 70s, this was a big time of inspiration because of inspiring folks. And then there was a little bit of a downturn. But now we have a newly ignited interest in all things space. Maybe perhaps also because it's a huge industry that is growing at a rapid pace. But you as a human being, what do you make of all of this? What does that mean?
I really hope we can get some answers, some informations, what to do about the climate change of our own planet. Because the way I've been seeing things, I think in Mars or in other exoplanets or whatever, we're going to have some more data that can help us more quickly here to sort it out our problems. The second is our life is pretty much in there. If they turn it off the satellites, we have chaos here in Earth. But people, the GPS, communication, but people, we don't know about this. So first, we need to understand about this. I think really intensify the discussions between policy or frontiers out there. I think it's going to come up with big issues in few years coming. And when I look specific to Brazil and I see the privilege of launching rockets, spending less fuel so far, is somehow Brazil could get this more as an economic source of income in coming years. But they are not, people don't talk about this. They maybe some but not the way supposed in schools and kind of this. So as a human being, I think we are completely, our life here is already depend on what's going on the satellites, what's going on us. I just saw that image of NASA, how many debris and satellites are around us.
Crazy.
That, and I sometimes I think, Marcus, well, is that, yeah, I look up and say, listen, is nothing gonna fall in our heads? Because so many, I don't know, things can change, whatever. So I think this kind of knowledge we need to know, and we need to accept that our lives depends what is up there. And I don't know what's going from here to, but we need to have conscious that we use more space than what we thought. And this involved like so many mindsets changing all over what we do here in this planet.
When you said that from exoplanets or Venus or different celestial bodies, we could learn about climate change and what to do against it. Don't you think that we have all the cards on the table already? We do not need more research, maybe, because we have it all on the table. It's bright as day. It's clear as glass. We are living a non-sustainable life on this planet, and we exactly know what to do against it, but we just do not do it. So the question is, do we really need more research, or do we need a shift of mindset? And for whatever reason, we do not know how to achieve that shift of mindset because we're too complacent, too lazy, or too whatever. Perhaps this is the main problem.
I think now, yes, there are so many resources, but I don't see us. That's why I think we need to talk about this in schools. I don't see people, the decisions makers, even not only the politics, but also the entrepreneurs, the CEOs, the directors. They don't know. They don't have conscious that we have, or this public that is listening to this have, about what space technology, what space research are doing for us in Earth. They don't. You talk to a CEO and some of them in politics, and doesn't matter if it's in Brazil or USA, they are not into this yet. So what I think it's happening is the consequence we are facing from climate change, the rain, the dry, the fires are waking up there. And so as they have to find the solutions, and they then ask people, they specialize, so they start to see their resources. And now they may do something because they have to rebuild the city, or they have to, the fire and all kind of things. That's how it's being provoked then to look after the resource we have, not decisions makes or the companies, or they don't use the resource yet as they supposed to use because they don't see, they don't see the importance for that. But when they are provoked by some of devastation or some things, I saw the other day about the hurricane, how fast it was in the United States. So I see this kind of things getting worse and worse every year. That's how they're going to see they have data resource and see what they can do from that data, from that resource here on Earth. And the mindset is, I don't know how long it's going to take to change because it seems like we are not going, I don't see moving too much forward as we need to so far.
Yeah, I think we will not solve that issue, but I'm glad that we're on the same page, that we feel that most of the solutions are readily waiting for us to be picked up, but for whatever reason, our conditio humana, as they say, our being human beings, stands in the way for whatever reason. So maybe this is the filter that we need to pass through in order, if we want to make it into the future. Perhaps it's a filter for any civilization. Who knows? Who knows?
As you said, I think we already know. I think there are so many data on this space agency and all these things. I heard, I don't remember his name, in the summit from the collective of NASA, that NASA has changed the position as an agency. The words as kept in my mind is, NASA is not going to warn only anymore. We will try to have the solutions. We will try because we need to address that.
Yes.
Very fast. So when you listen to this, well, something is already going on.
Yeah. We have become blind and deaf to warnings because we're overexposed. We've been overexposed for too long. So coming up with the solutions, being the solution, is definitely the way to go. Definitely the way to go. That's very inspiring. And anyone can be that solution. Anyone.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
Exactly.
Leka, on a completely different note, I guess your answer will now be yes. Would you want to go into space if the call came?
Yes. I prefer.
How far? How far? Interstellar, interplanetary?
Interplanetary. Whatever chance I have in this life. Even, to be honest to you, Markus, people say, whoa, even if you have, maybe they say, we will probably not come back. Well, I will have the chance. I mean, because it's worth it, I think. And yes, I will go to space. I already changed my mindset. I will go to space. I'm just waiting for the
call.
The call.
You know that traveling in space is a boring thing, especially after a couple of days or weeks. It will inevitably be boring. So what's the one, and this is the question I keep asking to each of my guests, what's the one piece of music you would want to bring on that playlist, on your favorite playlist, to cheer you up?
To be honest to you, some Brazilian music for sure. And yeah. And some YouTube music. I'm a fan of YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't have YouTube. So what tune? You need to you need to choose one tune. Yeah.
One tune. Wow.
And imagine it's the only tune you will be listening to on that playlist while on the spacecraft. So choose wisely.
Yeah, one. Yes, could be Brazilian one. One that's called Very Thank You. It's from Bahia. Muito obrigado, Axé. Yes, that's the one I would choose to listen in the space for how long, who knows. It's
So
a Brazilian one. Muito
do I
obrigado,
find it
Axé.
on Spotify?
Yeah, you probably. I can send to you
Yeah, please do
on the
so.
YouTube.
Yeah. And another question, Leka. This is the Space Cafe podcast, the auditory coffee place. And as a chef, you know, an espresso you would serve to energize or to close a fine meal or energize your body when you're tired now and then. So I challenge you to share an espresso for the mind with me now, to share something that leaves our audiences and leaves me inspired and invigorated from that conversation. And please do pick whatever kind of topic you want to pick.
I think for inspiring having a cup like espresso, would go for that. What are you gonna do? Are you doing? What are you enjoying life, or are you putting things away and waiting for the right moment? Life is now. We have to do now.
Wow.
Only space you can traveling back. So we are not in space. So let's see what are we doing now. If it's pleasure for us, if we are happy, real happy. And because when we are happy, we make our partners, children, whatever, happier as well. So it's up to us to make ourselves happy, and then we make everyone else happy as well. So are we doing this? Are we in the present moment, or are we traveling in space back and forward? Oh, no, we are not in space. We are here, planet Earth, living this moment.
Fantastic. Leka, thank you so much. This was mind-blowingly inspiring. Thank you so much.
Thank you for, I'm very, very happy I had the chance to meet you. I heard about the podcast before. I listened to some. And so it's really, really a privilege to be here with you, Markus. Thank you very much.
And there you have it, folks. An incredible journey through the life and mind of Leka Hattori. From world-class chef cooking for royalty and celebrities to leading NASA's biggest innovation challenge, Leka's story is truly inspiring. Her message of living in the present, pursuing your passions, and being open to change resonates deeply. As we conclude this episode of the Space Cafe podcast, let's take Leka's espresso for the mind with us. Are we truly living in the present moment? Are we doing what makes us happy right now? Remember, life is now. We can't travel back in time like we're in space yet. Thank you, Leka, for sharing your remarkable journey and insights with us. And thank you, dear listeners, for joining us on this cosmic adventure. Until next time, keep looking up, keep innovating, and most importantly, keep pursuing your dreams, whether they lead you to a kitchen or to the stars. This is Markus, signing off from the Space Cafe podcast. Take care. Bye-bye.